Look, I'm trying to put the figure, but forget about the composition, because the composition I'm doing it on purpose to the right, so I will explain on to details how to approach the limbs which are on the shadow. So first of all, dip on some dust here, with that, dip on some dust, get that going here, look, on this, look. And what I'm actually isolating is this one here. See that it's like a triangular shape, cube, but it's not obviously a proper cube because that angle is just too steep there. So what I'm doing is doing this as much as I can. So a square space here. Then you have that limb moving out like that, which is basically this one there. Then you have the arm there, the arm, I'm talking about this particular space, the triangular shape of the arm. Then squeeze your squint your eyes, and you will see this angle here, and all this area, obviously the head and the arm, they're all in the shadow. Look. And this one there. So there's a width of the body, which is that light shape, light area, and then I'm seeing this, I'm focusing on this, on the shadows here. This is why on the live drawing that you went yesterday, it's good to have a light source. Look, you see, there are not many lights here. It's very simple. The light comes from the right, or probably from the top, because the shadows are right down here. So light comes from the top, and everything else is subject to this angle of the light, and the width of the body that I said that I'm seeing, that line there, which is basically this, and then that goes right to the armpit, and the armpit is very close to the head. So that's what I was doing there. Head again, not that one, no, that was a mistake. I didn't need that. So it's we don't want her with a horn there. So yeah. And the shadow of this triangular or that, this on the cube is down there. Then you have the plinth, pretty much like that. Some darks there, and bit darker in between the arm and the top thigh, darker, and the hair. Now within those lines or shadows, they're not lines. Now I can be a little bit more, well, slightly a bit more accurate at what I'm doing now. That is the top kneecap. Then you have the bottom one, going this way, top, bottom, calf, somewhere here. And then look, that highlight or that little light which comes from the foot, her left foot coming through the calf there, through the shin, not calf, shin. Then you have all this foot is in the shadow, so that's basically, the artist is telling you that, look, he's not focused on that at all, the foot down here. It's just within the shadow, it's a dark shape within the shadow. Then you have the thigh here, which is that's the biggest form there on the body. That is the huge, see this, it takes up the whole, so the whole force or the energy of the picture, I think it relies on this one. That's the theme here. It's the thigh. It's not the portrait, it's the thigh. It's more of the thigh creates that, basically, creates the whole movement and the flow of the picture, this one. And the width of the body, the body here, you have the naked body there at the top, and you have the shadow, the shoulder there. Top of the upper body, then thigh again, and I think a little bit lower, just longer this, the shin here, and the foot you have here, and shadow. So what I've done at the beginning is that I wanted some darks so I can see where I can start put in all these, put in all the limbs, and not starting on the white sheet of paper, just on a darker, let's say, background. Now I want to see if I'm going right. No, it's not right because it's a lot longer. This one. So, if you see it from that way, I'm shortening the whole thing. So it's a lot longer. This. Her right, and that's her right kneecap. That's the left one, and then you have the arm coming here, which is parallel. These two are parallel. Look, this line and that line is totally parallel. So there you have it. Here, there, and that's the arm, and the portrait, which is within the shadow, part of the shadow. Hair, hand here coming right down, and the hand is also inside, well, within the shadow, the hand also left. And then you have the lower arm, upper arm. So on a live drawing, this is what you need to focus more on anything else. Look, just the movement. Say that you have a minute or 2 minutes, this is the best thing, or the closest thing you would do to the model. And obviously today we have a lot more time, but this is what you need to do when you have a very quick pose. And the lower part of the foot. Now, doing all that, it's all good. Now you need to be, well, I need to be a little bit more accurate and also create those middle tones which are missing here. On the upper body you have that, middle tone, because they're not as sharp and as dark as I've done here. Then the top of the thigh, which is not as dark. Again, top of the thigh of the right kneecap. I'm still seeing, yes, it still needs to be a bit longer, as in elongated, this one, the thigh there. Okay, up there. And shin. And the foot itself. I can now come and commit more with those dark lines on the body, breast here, the chest, sorry, the neck, portrait, light on that side. I think the portrait is, the whole head is a bit lower, so I just lower the head like this. First of all with your fingers, and then use the putty rubber. Then you have the arm, lower arm, there we are, and this parallel here. So I'm still trying to see if the figure functions the way it looks, the way that is developing now. Okay, that's a little bit closer to where I wanted to go. And then you have shin, foot, top, head, the foot down, moving down, and that highlight of the foot is right right here, just under the arm. So under the arm, you got the foot right here. Now, I will help myself if I start using a little bit more putty rubber here. And you can do that. And you have a little beautiful highlight of the plinth here, which I think that helps to create a corner. There. 1, 2, that's quite light in between the two parallel lines at the top. See, if you've noted that I've said parallel lines, obviously they're limbs, but I'm not seeing them as limbs. For the purpose of making the figure, having the flow of the lines correctly, I'm seeing them as lines instead of looking at, it's a limb, it's chest, it's thighs, but I'm seeing on I'm focusing more on lines than actual limbs. There, look, need to be parallel. This area of the face again, or you can say this area of the of the sphere is quite right, light here. Well, see the portrait as a sphere, and then you have the hair here. Light, light, light. And trimming the head, lower, coming down on the lower arm, and that is quite light. And if you've noticed the fingers, they move outwards. You'll see this one. Look, it's all in the shadow when you have the knuckles up. So all in dark, but it's not as dark as what I've done here. So first of all, I'm trying to get it a bit less dark, and the knuckles here. 1, 2, 3. Now, that's why I wanted the figure so small, because today I'm going to do a little bit more demo on how to actually make that work and see it like this, so delicate, which you can see that the wrist is moving forward, and then you have the top of the hand dark, and then the fingers there. So first of all, get the shape of the hand like this, which is basically that part there. Then do the outline basically. Say that you have 2-3 minutes. Say that you have 50 minutes or 40 minutes on the pose, and you like more the hand than anything else. Or you can do the outline on the light drawing, and you see that the hand is quite interesting, the way they sit in, or the foot, or the head, even the portrait. Why not? But if it's the hand like that and you have the shadow, then obviously do the outline, move it down, then you have the shadow of this, which is basically that. And that is all the contour, the outline that I'm doing, and everything is in the shadow. Again, take that dust here and move it like that. And just focus on these two. You see that triangular shape which separates the index finger from the top of the hand at the top. Then you have the lower part of the fingers here. There. Ring finger and the pinky there. And the wrist. And a little bit of that. That's another focal point there, which is that little dot there. And highlighting the knuckles at the top, highlighting these, highlighting there, and the thumb. See, you have a little bit of time, and instead of doing everything, just choose your battles, as they say. You cannot battle with everything. There is no time. You don't have the whole day, so you can choose. See how you can start doing the hand on its own. Oh yeah, well there are issues because obviously looking at it from an angle, I don't see that pinky goes way. Yes, the pinky or the little finger goes. Okay, goes more there. Look. It's. Yeah. So yes, yeah, and you can tell me because you can tell me that the outline is not correct, and then you have pinky, a ring finger, middle finger, right there, and the index finger, and the thumb itself. Look. So this is basically the hand. Obviously, it's a very, let's say, little. It's a very. It's not a very detailed drawing, but then you can come and do. You can highlight the fingers in between, and see. You don't see the nails at all. Everything just disappears or becomes kind of ghostly. Well, it looks short now, so I can come and do with a very, very thin outline and extend those. Look, fingers there a little bit more, so they look longer. They look more to what they seem to be there. And you have the shadow. They create a kind of shadow. Look, just work on the shadow around it. See the round that they create down here, which basically onto that. She's on a stone or on a where she's sitting on a kind of a not stone. She's sitting on a plinth with different.
Some sort of seat, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. Well, different figures that I see there,
Mm.
and a little bit lighter here, light on that side here, right there, right there. Yeah. Oh, that's the hand. Yes,
Exactly.
The nut line.
pretty much. And what else you will see? Well, the foot here, because that will be difficult to look. See the foot there? How do you deal with that? Well, as I've started doing there, is basically just create a dark mass, and within that dark mass you can start doing those. The toe, the big toe here, a line there as to begin with, and then you have the part of the foot there and all the toes there. Look. And that is basically the dark part of the other calf here or shin, and just bring it with a highlight like this. Look. That's the best approach, and you don't need to get more involved into that. Look. Yes, well, I need to, again, it's not very accurate into the outline because obviously I'm seeing it again from the angle, but there, you bring that up a bit more, and with a putty rubber. If you need to make it any lighter, look. So dark first, use your fingers to highlight, and there you are. Here, and the other toe underneath. And all dark, because that's the shin from the other foot. There. Obviously, another way of doing it is to give it a spray, and then add another dark on the top. What else you see here, which is quite hard to? What else would you see that it might portrait? Would you like to see it? And then on the portrait? That would be interesting as well. Well, as I said, I've done it very basic form, light and dark here, but obviously now I can do a little bit more and be a little bit more accurate with what's going on there. Eyes, nose, and mouth here. Or set it a specific name on the portrait. Don't forget the portrait is it's not as dark as the foot, you see, as the whole leg, because it's further back. It's very, very light. So again, take your chamois or finger and do it again. Look. To start with, do a dark shadow there, and some basic lines of the hairline, it's all curls here, eye socket, all this area here, dark, forehead, nose, mouth, and keep that light here, as light as you can, and the top of the nose, side of the nose. Mouth is huge here, so make it smaller. This is the form that I would use or work on the head. And how to work on the curls. Another way of doing it, darker. That's too dark, so look, soften that, start with, and then with your putty rubber. I like, so you can give the impression of curls without actually doing curls. Because that's what it is there, it's a very, it's not curls on, well, it's not a very accurate description of curls. It's basically just light and dark, middle tones. And then you have the eye here, nose, mouth. I think the mouth is a bit further up, as in, and it's not a line. It's not a line that I've done. It's a rounded line, and then you have the chin down here. Chin, neck. Obviously going dark at the start, and you have the highlight of the chin underneath here. And I'm talking about this highlight. See that highlight here? That's very important to put on. And that is highlight from the body, from her chest is it's a basically not highlight. It's a reflected light from the body. And the hair moving there, moving on that side. See, longer hair, and highlight with your putty there, and lighter on this side of the face. There you are. How do you see that? Is it better to work on? I think it's better to work on individual limbs and face, basically portrait, hands, because that explains how to deal with when you go to the nude. But make sure don't make the nude too small, because you see, I made it small so I can fit all these demos here, little explanation for limbs. But if you do it that small, it will be very hard to deal with hands. So make it as big as the A4 you have. Yes, make the image as big as you can. And obviously onto the picture, onto the main image, onto the main figure. Now that I've added all these darks, it's a lot easier now to come and use your putty to identify and work more on the. And obviously that line is a line which is very, very soft. It's not as dark as that. And you have the upper limb, arm, lower arm. This is something that I didn't deal with, but it's beautiful. All the thigh and the hip area, look, very, very dark. And it's a lot lighter on this side, look, see? And I would use spray on this area here, because I would spray that. It's not holding in the dark, so I would spray that and then come with another dark, and then you have that highlight of the other. Look, this highlight of the thigh at the top, another thigh or kneecap there, and another highlight here, which is the calf. And all that needs to be in the shadow. Again, I can see it now, it's short. Now that I'm there, it's a bit short, but I can increase it onto this area. And darker there, and as I said, spray it and give it another dark, because again, it's moving about. All the darks that I'm putting there moving about here. And softer, and the bum here, you can see right here, there, and make that a little bit lighter than the thigh itself. There you go. It's creating those darks that I'm not. There. Again, another spray. Well, before I spray it, get the highlights where you need to have them, and then spray it. And the portrait itself. Light. Okay. How do you say it?
Where you've just done the head, the left-hand side of her face, she's almost as if she's looking up, but she's looking down, as it were.
Oh, on me, she's looking down.
No, so to make it's more of a side.
So she's looking up.
I can't see the left of her face on yours, and I don't know how.
The left here, left side.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, on the little one that you did.
On this one.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean that side?
Yes.
You cannot see that.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Well, because that's
how
in the shadow. Well, yeah, good point. Because that's in the shadow, so I was trying to let that.
Yeah.
Just yeah, let it like this. You don't have to put, because look, if you get close to that, there's nothing there. There's no eye. Well, there's this little touch of dark there. It's that middle tone which creates kind of where the eye should be, but it's not much information, much more than that. Well, you can do it yourself. Basically, first of all, do the outline. Look on this one. I'm just doing that. Look.
Yeah.
The hairline. I'm around here. And that is dark. And maybe bring the nose a little bit further out. Bring the nose there. This is important here. This one, that dark here. That is something that we need to focus on. And the eye, the eye of the viewer will complete the action, as in you will know where her eye will be by darkening all around the head and the hair. There. And that little dart that I've said to you that I think is very important here. First of all, that's the eyebrow, which is not even there, but I'm doing it just for our sanity to know where it is. And that's where the eye should be. Which is not there, but it should be. If it was to be seen, then it should be there. A little bit lower, the chin a bit lower, and that angle needs to be a little bit more emphasized. And then the roundness of her face, maybe that's too dark, soften it like this. And that's where the eye should be, I think. Maybe a bit further up, further down. You can play with that and see where it fits best, where it makes sense, basically. And a middle tone here on the forehead. And the hair becomes one with the middle tone. Yeah. And this will be the hairline. How do you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And obviously, because again, I need to come here and there and see where I'm going actually. Yes. See, it's always about the portrait, isn't it? Because most people, that's where they will focus. They say, "How do I do the portrait? How do they?" Because that's what it is. It's people are attracted to the eyes, the portrait, to the personality of the viewer. But it's not much. That's why it's so important to distinguish the portrait, or when you have a figure drawing, than a portrait drawing, because that's why the portrait is so vague. It's giving all the focus on, I would say here. That's the thrust of the image here.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the whole thing. It's the thighs. But obviously you cannot completely ignore the portrait, but the portrait should be a secondary. So the portrait is basically to complete the figure, because you cannot have a decapitated figure. But it's not the portrait the focal point. It's that beauty here. Yeah? I mean, it's like when they paint. If you paint an animal, if you paint a lion, let's say jump into the prey, or a jump of a lion or a cat, you will focus on the muscles of the animal. So the portrait is completely unnecessary, as it will be an extension of the body, but not the main focus. And that's why I think here, I can guarantee that's not the portrait, but obviously, as I said, you cannot completely ignore it. You have to work with it. So. And whilst we're on the portrait here, I think the nose is a little bit too long. So I think I need to bring the nose further up to make it even more like a nose. And if I put the nose up, then I have to put the mouth up as well. So the portrait is actually there, and the mouth is there, further up, and then the chin is here. It's like and going close to the portrait, zooming in, and there. Now I'm doing what I should have done, again, focus on the portrait, but because we are a little bit worried about how to get that, why not to focus a little bit more on the portrait, it's no problem. But yes, again, it should not be any darker, because I'm working a lot now on the portrait, it should not be any darker than the thigh. And with the putty, it's just to make and work those areas a bit lighter, which is that side of the nose, eyebrow, eye, chin, and this is the lightest area here. Here is the lightest area on the portrait. Everything else that drops in intensity there. That dark, it's not as dark as I've done here. Then you have the hairline, which is the cast shadow of the hair. I'm talking about this one here. The cast shadow of the hair on her body. Then you have that area here, which is also dark. but also I don't want to interfere on that figure there, which I want to keep the figure as much as we can. And then you have the arm. It's a complicated image, so it's not easy, but it's a really good artist, this one. Forgot his name. It's a Mexican artist. Okay, and again, highlights onto the eye there. I'll just keep it as little information as possible on this one. And the hairline here. Does it make sense like that?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more or not? There. Lower lip and the chin. Lower lip with some highlights and the chin. And obviously a little bit darker than that. But it will be easier, as I said, to spray it and then give a few more darks. How do you see it?
Very good. Very
Thank
good.
you. Okay, well,
That hand as well, you've got those
This one?
knuckles just absolutely so that the fingers are turning down. I mean, it's just
yeah,
amazing.
it's basically it's that. It's doing. She's doing this.
She's bending.
Yeah, she's doing this.
Yeah, bending
That's
them,
yeah,
and you've got
see.
that just right.
Yeah, well, that's why I think from now on, when we do a figure, we'll work on particular parts, which is the most difficult, the most, let's say, problematic part of the how to deal with it, how to work on it. And obviously, don't forget the beautiful ring that she's got there, whatever that is. Yes. A bracelet. And patty rubber working on, if you like that. And obviously, bring the wrist here. Highlight that and highlight on this part of the arm.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. And bring the thumb basically there. Now it needs to be worked more, obviously, but in this case again I will spray it and work on the top of that, make more more impressive shadows, darker shadows, not impressive but darker shadows. Okay, I think some of you are already working, so I'll better stop because
Just
you can have and lower back. Well, let's see what we can do with this. I will do a mixture of charcoal and pastel today. Soft pastels, you have a gradation of very, very dark, light until to the white. So let's continue a little bit more with charcoal, which is the willow charcoal. Then you have the foot here, which has been highlighted right here, which is her left foot, calf, her right calf, highlight here, right calf, maybe down there, and highlight on the plinth. I don't think I need more information about the plinth there, there's no need for that. Before I start using charcoal, I will use a little bit of patty rubber to highlight a few things here before I spray it, and then use the pastels, soft pastels. So you have breast here, highlight of the arm, right arm, left kneecap, highlight of the shin, sorry, calf. Shin is here. Right down to the toes. Some highlights on the shoulder here. Shoulder. Bending of upper body. Hand here as it stands, narrow, and then thinner down there. And obviously she's sitting on a kind of a plinth full of figures and different 3D relief images, body structure, belly, hair, here we are, and also a bit lighter here, and lighter at the top of the thigh. Okay. I think it's good enough to give it a spray, quick spray, but then darker. Darker lines or darker shadows there. That's good enough. Spray. Let it dry for a little while. Then with my pastel, I think that will help a little bit. Well, it's not about help, basically I'm trying new things here. Well, I can do the charcoal first, the willow charcoal. It's basically coming a little bit darker here. Middle tone here, darker, on the kneecap. Also you have the right kneecap here. A bit more rounded. I think that goes up a little bit more there. And chin, nose, upper lip, eyebrow, and the reflected light. A bit of hairline, cast shadow of the hair from the face, and the rounded rib cage. This one. Okay, a little bit further up to make the upper arm a bit longer. There we are. Okay. Now with the soft pastels, I think introducing this, maybe that will help with those middle tones. And more than anything, I just want to try the soft pastels to see if they can be actually merged with charcoal. And guess what? They can. It's pastel, basically, soft pastel. Darker here. Darker. A little bit darker also down here. Yeah, it can go a lot darker with that. Darker with a soft pastel here to emphasize the thigh. Now with some brush, spread those darks. Yes, it's a good mixture. Pastel and willow charcoal. Arm, upper arm actually. Lower arm here. Bit lighter pastel. The lightest pastel is this one here. Go a little bit darker around the foot here. And a little bit of shadow of the foot onto the plinth here. Talking about this shadow here. Plinth itself, shadow on the plinth itself. There we are. And slightly darker here as well. On the foot itself, dark round here. Dark the foot as it goes round here. A little bit lighter on the foot here, so one of these lighter pastels here, right up on the toe, maybe even lighter than that, which is basically the white, the whitest pastel. Highlight on the calf, highlight also on the upper kneecap, this as well, light around the upper arm, some curls working on around here, there, curls with some curls there, and the breast itself. There, a bit lighter here, a little bit a reflected light which is right on the body here. There, reflected light. Some crazy figures coming through here. So basically to highlight all the areas which I see that needs to be all the relief figures here and the fingers themselves. Small fingers on there. think I had enough of that. Let's try now and go back to some charcoal drawing. Well, brush first, soften all these areas, and then some charcoal drawing again. But this time with not with Willow charcoal, but with the basically compressed charcoal. Breast, half tone. Darker shadow. Where the curls are. To reinstate all the curls, the darks, basically, not the curls themselves, but the darks. Okay. Actually, with that, it will be good if I use a little bit of dark brush there, or a strong brush, or even better, a stump. Let's see if I can find a stump here. Well, I didn't find a stump, but I found a very strong brush, and I think that will do the work of a stump. There. That's where the all arm is. See, that's the work of a stump. You don't really need a stump. That doesn't have to be emphasized a lot because that's rounded here. Doesn't have to be a perfect emphasis on that. Upper lip, eye, and you got the hair here. Upper arm, and the shadow, which is basically the rounded bit of the upper arm. Lighter, and bring with a pencil lower arm. And let's emphasize the fingers a little bit more. Thumb. The ornament around, that basically, the string that she's got on the upper arm. And that's a bit too strong. I think we need to fix that. Just too dark. Soften it, leave it in less darker lines, that would be better. An emphasis with the putty, especially on the fingers. some darker lines here. Index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and the pinky there. Brush and I'll say soften there a little bit more. Rounded arm. Bow here more rounded. Darker lines there. Toes. And the whole lower leg and calf. I think another spray will do as well. Another quick spray here. So I can add more shadows here. Actually, darker shadows. That was very dark, a little bit lighter than that. Or at least a mixture between the very, very dark black charcoal with that middle tone. Combined with the white charcoal. But with white chalk, black chalk. Lighter here. Guess I've gone too light on that, but I can come and darken it a bit later on as I continue with my drawing pad here, with my drawing, the progression of the drawing. Darker in intensity, darken that a bit more, darken the calf here, also I could go darker, as in just increase the dark as much as you can here. crazy here with those darks, but I think that's the thrust, the whole beauty of this image is just this beautiful dark thigh here. And the more darks I add, the closer I get to the image. At least the intensity, not the accuracy, but the intensity of the darks that I see there. There. Could go a little bit lighter there with the putty rubber, especially on this area. A little bit lighter around the arm. Lighter there around the arm. Lighter with these charcoals here, middle tones. That's a bit too dark, but I'll use it. I'll give me some beautiful middle tones here, or I hope so. Those middle values here. Not bad. And there, in between the breast and the upper thigh. That's the same here. Lighter here. And light on the foot here. There we are. Now those white are too white, and unfortunately I cannot find a charcoal pastel which is going to be not as bright as white as that, because it's not matching. Actually, it's not matching with the paper. It's a lot lighter than the paper is. Just a mixture of this. Middle tone and light, and see how that goes. And light here. Lighter tone there. A darker tone here. Same place, just darken it a little bit more. Middle tone. There. I'm overloading it, but this is how you get the shadows, the middle tones. Get overloaded with pastel, but as I said, it works. It makes it a lot more voluminous. And tomorrow I will continue with the portrait and hand here. I'll be tomorrow.